Hello, my friends. It is Becky Davidson, and today I am going to be training and talking about how to differentiate, to dominate, to create and master the unique edge to be the best choice. And that's what we all want, right? We all want to be the best choice so that people come to us ready to buy. And I love this training because I feel it is so extremely important. And so, what I'm going to do and what I'm going to share today is I'm going to first off tell you a little bit about myself so you know a little bit about my background. But we're going to talk to you a little bit about why people are decision resistant. They're holding back on making decision, why they're confused on making a buying decision, which there's so much competition out there, and sometimes we get lost in the sea of sameness. And so we're going to talk about that, and then I'm going to give you some tips and strategies of how to set yourself apart, how to be the best natural choice, how to be the one people want to buy from. And then I'm going to share a little bit about my programs and how I work with people to help them create that system and close 1 to 5 sales a week, every week on repeat. So, first off, just to quickly introduce myself, and let me go ahead and go to my next page. My name is Becky Davidson, and I am a sales trainer and business growth strategist. I've been in sales for over 80,000 hours of sales activity, over 40 years of sales. I've worked high ticket, low ticket. I've worked B2B, B2C. I've worked a lot. I've not only worked in a lot of different industries, I've worked with dozens and dozens, hundreds of people in a lot of different industries. And my program and what I do works no matter what industry you're in or what you sell. My formal training was through the Dale Carnegie sales course. I went there as a student when I was newer to sales. So a long time ago, they asked me back as a trainer. I came back as a graduate assistant to help train. That's where things stuck. And that I've spent thousands of hours and thousands of dollars on different types of sales training. But what I learned there, I learned a framework that works. And that's what I teach my clients also, is how to have a sales framework that leads conversations to a decision. I teach, not only do I teach, the sales, I teach the psychology of why people buy, why people say yes, how to get to yes. That's what my program's called, Getting to Yes. That's what we want, right? We want to get more yes in our business. And then I have created my own manual and framework, which I've taught and trained hundreds of people. If we're not connected on LinkedIn, make sure to connect with me. Go down to the bottom and check out my LinkedIn recommendations from some of my happy clients. But I talk about how to get to yes in such a way your client wants to buy. They are closing you at the end of the conversation. It's not like we have to do something to them. We don't have to convince them. We don't have to talk them into it. So I teach people how to sell in such a way that people want to buy. I have a 95% success rate with my clients, and most of them recoup their investment within their first or second month. So my program works, it works great. And my clients win, period. And that is my mission. That is why my program is called Win with Becky, because I help people win. Okay, let's talk about why we want to differentiate and why that's vital to your business, why it is so important. So when I got into sales 40 years ago, we sold to people we could drive to. We didn't have social media. We didn't have, Zooms. We didn't have really, I didn't even have, I had a typewriter. I had to type on a typewriter. I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have all the tools and the training and the technology that we have now. And so our clients were literally, we had to drive or fly to them. And so we had to go eyeball to eyeball, belly to belly, as they used to say. Well, things have changed. Now we can buy from anyone in the world. We can Zoom with people, for coaching. I can coach anywhere, anyone, anywhere in the world, as long as they have a computer, they have a smartphone, as long as they have access to the internet, I can coach and train anyone, anywhere in the world, which is wonderful. It opens up your market. But guess what it also does? Is it creates a lot more competition, because guess what? Your buyer has so many more places to buy from. Now they can buy from anywhere in the world because they can, in a couple of strokes of the keys, find someone on YouTube or on Instagram or Facebook, LinkedIn. They can find people. They're being sold to all the time. So buyers have more choices than ever before. And because of that, they are just inundated. And whether it's, oh, I can do it myself, I can learn all about it, I don't need to work with anyone. And so all of those choices have created a sense of indifference to they don't have that buying desire like they may have in the past where they really needed it. Now it's like, yeah, I'll figure it out. There's so many choices, and it's not always your direct competition that is vying for their attention, their time, and their energy. It's all the branding, all the messaging, all the things that are out there vying for their money. And that is something that can stall the sale. Economic conditions, of course, when there is a recession, when there is economic times, people are a little more concerned with where they spend the money. They're a little more cautious about where they spend the money. And that's why it's even more important than ever before to really skill up, hone your skills so that you can earn that business. You have to create certainty. People don't buy from a nervous, uncertain person. They want certainty that they are making a great decision because, of course, the next one is fear of bad decisions. It is causing people to hold on to their money because they want to buy the best. They want to get the best solution, not just the cheapest, but the best value. And so, a lot of times when we're trying to differentiate, if you're in an industry, there's lots of competition, like the trades, maybe roofing, real estate, insurance, finance, marketing. There's a million choices out there. And what I find is everybody has a tendency to sound like their competitors. And if you sound like your competitors, guess what happens? Your clients will default on to price because if you all sound alike, then the only thing that can differentiate you is the price. And so that is why it is so important to differentiate yourself now. Of course, your buyers, your potential customers are being sold to a million times a day, 4,000 to 10,000 sales impressions a day, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's when they're driving down the road, wherever they go, they're getting exposed to a lot of sales messaging. Buyers, because of all that, they become decision resistant. They're holding on to their money. They're becoming shrewder. And then lastly, they may not understand the true value because I find that a lot of people talk about facts and features and they don't really understand the value. So let's talk for a minute about what is really competing with your buyer's attention. Because if they are not giving you attention, then they're competing for your time, your communication, your strategy, your value, and that is causing people, they're not going to say yes if they can't pay attention to what you're talking about. So the first thing that's competing for your buyer's attention is your awareness and and attention and interest and awareness and knowledge that you even exist. No one knows you exist. Of course, if no one knows you exist, because there's so many things out there, they are not going to want to buy from you. Another thing that is competing for your buyer's attention is a poor sales client journey. I ask people all the time, what is your client journey? What is your sales client journey? And if you don't really know what that is and you're not sure what it is, you're just kind of winging it, taking it in a direction that you hope that it's going to go, guess what's going to happen? You're going to lose your client's attention and interest. Number three, inefficient messaging, not being able to communicate who you are, what you do in a unique and valuable way. Inefficient messaging leads to the next one, echo chamber. You sound like everybody else. So if you have the same, and that's why a lot of people just kind of sound like everybody else. They've heard it before, so they just kind of repeat what they've heard, and so they end up sounding like an echo chamber. And then to your buyer, it's just a bunch of white noise out there. And so, of course, it's hard to be excited and certain and excited about buying if everybody sounds alike. So inefficient messaging leads to an echo chamber, which also then leads to lack of belief and conviction in your result. I find that some salespeople, this is holding your buyers back from giving you the attention, giving you the time that you want and need, is maybe your lack of belief and conviction in the result that you can get. I ask people all the time, what is the result someone could expect from working with you? Articulate that. And it's amazing how much people struggle with that. And I know no one wants to say a result because what happens if you don't get the result? Well, if you don't believe in what you're offering, it's going to be hard to grab their attention and get them certain about wanting. So it is competing with you and with your product for their attention because it's making them indifferent to what you have. The next one is assuming your prospect gets it. What happens when you assume your prospect gets it? You don't dive in deep enough. You talk surface level. You shortcut steps, and they're confused. They're not going, "Hey, I'm confused on this." The silent objections are costing you sales. So that is competing, and people don't know how to communicate in such a way so that there's aha moments, that your customer gets it, that you're sharing a value in such a way that it hits their buttons, not just your buttons. So the next thing that's competing for your buyer's attention is timing, and your lack of urgency is setting you up, or setting your competition up. So if you are not willing to create a sense of urgency, have a sense of urgency, then again indifference creeps in, and I've had this happen in the past, and you may have happened to too, where you talk to someone and they were interested, but they didn't buy. And a month later, a couple months later, they went with your competition. Like, how frustrating is that? Well, maybe you did not create urgency and desire, so they wanted to work with you. And so that is competing for your buyer's attention and the buyer's desire to work with you. The next one, not skilling up. So, hey, it's a choice. And I have people say, "Oh, well, I've been in sales for a while." Well, great, things are changed. You have to constantly be improving and growing, and we have to always be skilling up. They can tell, your buyer can tell if you're on it, if you're strong, if you're skilled, if you're articulate, if you're setting yourself apart, you sound different. It will help attract those people to you because you're going to have more certainty, you're going to have more confidence, you're going to be a little more direct, you're going to be kind and generous, but they want to buy from people that have a vision that is convicted and creates certainty in them that they are making a great decision. So not skilling up is causing you to have competition because you're going to get them interested, and then they're going to go find someone that does have the skill, the confidence, the certainty. And so don't warm people up to send them to your competition. And then the last thing is fact-based selling, which I kind of mentioned that a minute ago. Most people are doing fact-based selling, not selling the value that means something to your buyer, not just the value that means something to you, but how can you explain the value in a way that your buyer goes, "I get it, I want it, I need it," which creates buying desire. So I teach people how to set themselves apart by increasing their awareness and attention, by having a great sales client journey, and by fixing all of these things that are costing you sales and money. Okay, the toolbox to set you apart. Oh my goodness. Hold on a second. Okay, the toolbox to set you apart. Number one, this is your to-do list. Make a splatter list of you, your company, and your product. What sets you apart? What sets your company apart? What sets your product apart? You have to know that inside and out. You have to be able to articulate it in such a way that sounds different. That's where I come in. I help people customize what they say and how they say it so they sound different. For example, I have a client, she's a travel advisor. And so as we're talking about what she does and what sets her apart, I was like, "Well, you're really like a travel strategist because you're helping strategize and create these, beautiful um, experiences." And so we really created a whole campaign around what the difference is between a travel advisor and a travel strategist that creates experiences. And so you have to sometimes tweak what you're saying and how you're saying and what names you're using because, "Oh, I'm a travel advisor, I help book travel." You just don't want to sound like everyone else. Then it's always who they like or what the cheapest price is. Okay, number two, is make a splatter list and figure out, you have to know your competition. You have to know what you're up against, who's out there in the market, who's working and what they do and what they're good at and what you're better at. And what are some of the things that businesses like about your competition? What do they not like about your competition? What are the things that frustrate them? If you don't know your competition, let's talk. I can help you get to know your competition, because that's how we're going to differentiate. You got to know what other things are out there. We don't name drop, we don't badmouth, but you have to know what's going on in the marketplace, what people like, what they don't like, and then you have to work on the things that you do that just make you slightly better. And I've had people say, "Oh, well, all of X industry, we're all alike, or we all basically do the same thing." Well, maybe, but we can still articulate things in a way that sets you apart, because your competition isn't doing that. So if we do it, it's going to make you sound more relevant, more intriguing and attractive. So we have to create those two lists. The next one, results and value. You have to really drill down in what you offer and what the value of what you offer is, and how that compares to what else is out there on the market. And so I work with my clients to really, drill down on their value, how to explain the value, because one of the things we want to do is build buying desire, so they want to buy from you. Are you building buying desire? The next one is building a sales ecosystem. I find a lot of people really don't want to do this because it takes too much time, or don't do it well, or do it very inconsistently. But building a sales ecosystem is going to touch people in multiple places, multiple ways, because I would say perception isn't always true reality, but in the eyes of the beholder, perception is reality. So if you're non-existent on social media, if I don't see you other than, hey, you called me, you booked a call, and I haven't seen or heard from you since, well, out of sight, out of mind. Perception is you're small, you're not a very big company, maybe you don't have a lot of value, maybe you're in business, maybe you're out of business, I don't know. But if I see you showing up and sharing content, sharing value, and really stepping out as an authority in your industry and communicating a variety of different ways, then people start going, holy cow, this person's the real deal. They know what they're doing. So you have to build your sales ecosystem. The next one is social proof, storytelling. We have to get really good and not just, explaining the facts and benefits, but utilizing social proof and storytelling to really put an exclamation point on why people need to be listening to you and working with you. The next one is help them be quicker at making decisions. Time is not our friend in sales. I want to think about it is not my favorite thing. So what I do is help create systems to help lead people to a decision. We don't want to chase people. We don't have to want to follow up for a million times, or then they start ghosting us. And I find that a lot of people have a tendency to let people sit in the friend zone. I want to think about it, on the fence, because they don't know how to close the sale, whether it be a yes or a no, how to end the call, how to set up the closing in the right way. And so they end up getting the I want to think about it, because the person isn't sold. I want to think about it. It's just, I'm not sold. You haven't convinced me, and I'm not ready to make a decision. Well, walking away from you is not going to sell them. Going down and talking to their friends and family and time will only lower their interest, lower their desire. So time is of the essence. And so we need to know what to do to help people make quicker, faster decisions and confident decisions. So I work with people on that. I have a program to help you become a decision facilitator, help you lead conversations to a decision. Um, you have to have passion and conviction. Your client wants certainty. If they're going to pull the trigger, and that's why they're on the fence, and they say, I want to think about it, because they don't have certainty. That, oh, it looks good. I don't know. I better think about it. Am I making a mistake? I don't want to make a mistake. So you have to have passion and conviction. You have to have certainty, and you have to create certainty in your client. There's a lot of things we can do to create that, but you definitely need to have that to set yourself apart. Understand what your clients' buying motives are and being objection aware. You need to know when you're walking in that door what concerns are probably going to have. what concerns your average buyer has, because you don't just want to wait for them to pop up or hope they don't pop up. Objections are there. I promise you, whether they tell you what they are or not, they are there. So we need to know how to intercept objections, get rid of objections, listen for buying cues, buying signals, buying motives. You have to know what's going to motivate them to want to buy, because if you don't know what's going to motivate them to want to buy, it's going to be hard to sell them. And when your competitor comes in and they're good at some of this stuff and you're not, then they're going to get the sale. I promise you, it doesn't matter. It's not about price. And I want to remind you, so many times people say, "Oh, I lost it because someone was $10 cheaper, $50 cheaper, $100 cheaper." Well, no, there was not a perception of value. They didn't feel like you had enough value to want to spend a little bit more with you. So you did not do a good enough job to create the higher perception of value. If money, and I always tell people, money is not typically the main objection. It's usually a smokescreen objection for "I'm not sold," or a perception of value. If money was truly the objection, if money was the sticking point, we would all be driving stripped down Ford Festivas, right? If money was the only concern, we'd all be driving a really inexpensive stripped down car of some sort. But we're not. People buy Jaguars and Lamborghinis and Mercedes and Audis. Why? Because it's not all about the money. It's about the value and about the image and about, the relationship and what they want. And so we have to create that, because if you are just talking basics, then it will come down to money. If you sound like everyone else, it will come down to money. Learn You have to learn how to paint a vision and be good at storytelling, because a lot of people sell logically. Most people are really good at logic selling. "Oh, we do this, we do that, our product does this, we have this guarantee, we have that, we have all this logic." But people buy on emotion. How good are you at painting a vision? Story Painting them into the vision. How good are you at doing that? Do you know how to do that? What if I can help you do that? That's what it's important, because your competitor comes in, and if they're good at doing that and getting that person to see themselves winning in that vision, they got it. They got the sale. And especially for businesses that, they have to go on 3 bids, all these little things matter. If you're in a competitive industry, these things matter. They are the little nudge. It's just like a racehorse wins by milliseconds. You're going to win by those little nuances that you do or you don't do, or you're going to lose by the things you don't do. So we want to check all the boxes, make sure we hit all the bases. BMV, bring massive value. You not only want to bring massive value, but you want to make sure they understand the value and what the value means to them. What is the real meaning of that value, and how does that affect them? So I spent a lot of time really working on value and how to value up, because we don't want to have to lower our price. We want to value up. And then the last thing on my list is grow your audience, work your pipeline. The bigger your pipeline, the bigger your audience is, the bigger your pipeline, the more confidence you're going to have. You're not going to come across desperate. The other thing is, posture and, not arrogance, but you have to have a little bit of air of, "Hey, I want to work with you, but I don't need to." If you're desperate and needy, then oh gosh, people want to work with someone they feel it's a good deal, a good solution, a good opportunity, not someone, "Oh, I feel sorry for this guy. He looks like he really needs a sale. I'm going to give it to him." No, they don't care. So we have to grow our audience, grow our pipeline. We have to have a lot. I always found that my confidence was tied to my calendar. If I had a packed calendar, I felt rocking and rolling. You still want to take your time and make sure you go through all the steps. You don't want to skip steps, but you just know you have more opportunities, more at bats, more opportunities to win. So use that to your advantage for sure. Okay, so those are a few. There's a lot more that I could talk on, but I wanted to give you some nuggets that you can work on and start, kind of crafting and perfecting. Of course, what I do is I help my clients 2x their revenue growth, help them close 1 to 5 sales a week, every week on repeat. My program is Getting TS or Leading TS, the sales roadmap to success. I help teach people how to lead conversations to the yes, to a decision. And how do we do that? Of course, we all want yes, but hey, on the path to yes, of course, we're going to get no's too. But I teach you how to have the mindset, the skill set, and the action to close sales, to close 1 to 5 sales a week, 1 to 5 sales a week, and scale from there. Are you ready to get more yes? Let me share my program and how I work with people. So this is again my manual. I have my own manual, and I teach a cold to sold framework, and I do it in a variety of different ways. I have one-on-one coaching, I have small group coaching, and I also have a digital course. I have programs as low as $50 a month. So I want my program to be accessible to everyone. I know in my sales career when I needed sales training the most, I didn't have the money to spend on high dollar sales training. So I never wanted anyone to say they could not afford my sales training. So please get a hold of me. Let's connect. Um, I help create, oh, I have a typo there. I help create sales mastery to set yourself apart. Of course, we want to set ourselves apart. And so if you want to be the person, the main person, I would say we want to be you to be the mayor of the community. So everyone wants to work with you. You know, that person that, people are looking to for advice and wanting to talk to. You want to be the solution and build your ecosystem so people see you and connect with you and build your authority and influence. I help you with my Getting to Yes manual. It's a cold to sold manual, so you have access to all of that. I have strategy to help close 1 to 5 sales a week, create a system and a strategy to do that, to become an objection master, to create an attractor factor so it sets you apart, and then how to create your unique selling advantage, how to have a full pipeline to close sales every week. We do a lot of role playing practice and referral partnership. And then I do on demand coaching and in my inner circle audience. So I do a lot to really partner with you. I always say there's lots of places to get sales training. You can read it, you can watch videos, you can buy books, you can go to courses and webinars, you can go to all the things, which there's lots of great sales training out there. And I don't know if you've done this, but a lot of people read it, watch it, do it, and then never execute. So I do training and execution. I'm going to help you learn the psychology and what it does, how it works, and then I'm going to help you with the execution. I have over 65 LinkedIn recommendations for clients. Here's a couple really good ones. Irinka, this one right here, great, great client. She did my Sales Accelerator Intensive, my hybrid one-on-one and group coaching. Through my program, she actually doubled her client size. And our very last meeting, our last one-to-one, she goes, "Can we go over my pipeline? I have like 5 people in the pipeline that just won't get off. They're on the fence. I can't get them to say yes. I can't get them to say no." I go, "Okay, let's go over it." We went over those. We talked through them. I gave her strategy on each one of them. Within 1 week, closed 4 out of 5 of them. That's what I call on-demand coaching. I love to help you with a specific strategy, not just give you theory, not just give you ideas, but talk through what you need to do. I have so many great success stories. Here was a 20-year veteran in business. She, had been a coach for 20 plus years, was getting, because, oh, sales used to be so much easier. It's so much harder now. Well, why is it so much harder? Because there's a lot more competition. There's a lot more, people have a lot more options at their fingertips. So it makes it harder to sell. The economy is not great. You have to be on your game. And she was at the time when she started working with me, she's like, "Oh, I'm lucky if I close one a month. I'm lucky if I close one coaching client a month." The third week, she was in my Sales Accelerator Intensive. Her third week, we always shared our wins. The previous week, she had 4 appointments on her books and she closed all 4 of them, one call close. So she went from barely being able to get one a month to in this second or third week of working with me, had 4 appointments and closed all 4 of them. I teach how to create a one call close, which is powerful. A realtor that was closing maybe one a month, one every other month, which is probably the norm, but he felt like he was getting lost in the crowd. People would talk to him and then go with another realtor. He didn't want to be pushy. He was, wasn't sure how to set himself apart. Unique selling advantage for realtors is huge. And so after he started working with me, he did my 3 month one-on-one coaching. And then he closed 9 deals in 8 weeks. That's over one a week. Huge, huge, huge. Another one of my clients hadn't had closed a sale in 3 months. After a few weeks of working with me, started closing 1 to 3 sales a week, 1 to 3 sales a week, 1 to 3 sales a week. My system works. If you work the system, got to work the system. So the next step is if you're like, wow, this all looks good. I need it. I want it. What do I need to do? I have a 90% success rate. I want to touch on that. But I have a free 1 hour sales strategy session, no cost, no obligation. Book that. Book the 1 hour sales strategy session for free. Let me help you. Let's see if we're a fit to work together. If it's not, no big deal. But I can give you some nuggets on that 1 hour that can at least help you. So I'd love to do that. And then from there, I have my Sales Mastery Academy. That is my digital course. It's a low cost. Everything that's in my manual, every topic that I train one-to-one clients is in my digital course. So you can watch the videos, you'll have PDFs, you'll have a lot of the stuff that I train on there. You just have to, it's kind of self-taught. You have to watch the videos. You have to stay on track with that. My Sales Accelerator Intensive is a small group. It's a hybrid of one-on-one and small group. Oh my gosh, I put dozens and dozens of people through that and have tons of success stories from inside that training. Very affordable. It's a great program. Most of my clients recoup their investment within the first month or the first or second month. But my programs just keep paying because once you have the knowledge, you can use it over and over again. The Wolf Pack, that is my 6 month mastery. It's a small group also, but it's a 6 month mastery and business growth mastermind. So we just spend a little more time together but we also network and connect and shout each other out and help each other grow. And then lastly is my one-to-one high touch coaching and training. That's my signature getting to yes, the roadmap to close, one-on-one training where you get all me, you get me. where we meet once a week, 1 hour once a week. We go through the cold to sold strategy and all the little tweaks that you need. I always tell people 85% of what you do is probably doing it quite wonderfully. It's not that I have to revamp everything. It's the little tweaks and nuances that make all the difference in the world. And then why do I have a 95% success rate? I have a framework that is proven to work. It works. I'm telling you, use this system, use this framework, and people will start closing you. Like my website design client who came, she was scared, she was nervous. I'm horrible at sales. And after she worked with me, I said, you do my system, people will start closing you. She did my system. She went 6 weeks, held 10 appointments, closed every single one of them. 100% close rate over 6 weeks, 10 appointments, 10 sales, website design. That never happens. Cold market people, that wasn't like her friends and family and warm market. These were all strangers and newbies to her. So my framework works. Two, accountability. As business owners and salespeople, no one's walking over our shoulders saying, you got to do this, you got to do that. Are you doing this? And so we get distracted doing all the busy work, all the things that we enjoy more than prospecting, lead generation, and booking calls. So I keep people accountable and turn it into fun activities and teach them how to do it so they can do it with confidence. So accountability is huge. And then number three, I teach sales training and execution. So I teach people not just what to say, but we practice it. In fact, I went out on a sales call with I went out and did cold calling with a few of my clients. But one of them, the first place she took me to was a big car dealership. I got to the decision maker, ended up getting him to take us back to his office, one call close on a cold call. So she got to watch that in action. I didn't know that was going to happen. I mean, how cool was that? But that's what I call training and execution. Number four, I connect, promote, showcase, and share my audience. How about if you had someone that's going to promote you, connect you, introduce you, shout you out, do a live interview? I'll take that all day, every day, twice on Sunday, please. So no one is doing that, but I love helping my clients. I partner with my clients. The next one, accessibility. I become your partner because we're going to become friends. We're going to partner together. Your win is my win. So I make sure you win. And then lastly, most get an ROI within 1 to 2 months. And then you keep getting ROIs over and over and over again, right? Okay. So the next step is I would absolutely book your one-to-one sales strategy session with me. Let's book a one-to-one so I can get to know you, learn about you. So there should be a link in the comments so that you can, book that one-to-one. If you have a question, you can DM me on LinkedIn, Facebook, connect with me. Let's do our one-to-one and let's figure out which of those solutions would make the most sense for you and help you start closing 1 to 5 sales a week, differentiate to dominate, and be the best solution in your industry. Hope this helped. Have a great day.